Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to this video. This is, I believe, part three in coloring digitally. This is a direct follow-up to using layers when you are coloring your illustration pieces. And in this video, it's going to be fairly quick. This video I'm simply going to use as an instruction of adding your shadows and your highlights to dedicated separate layers as well. And I went ahead and just did the prep work. I labeled it my shadow layer as shadows and my highlight layer as highlights. And I may put this in another video, but just real quickly, for shadows, and again, all depending on what program you're using, if it's Photoshop or Procreate or any other, because there's so many other illustration software. So wherever you can go to adjust your behavior or type of layer. So here in Clip Studio Paint, I go here where it says blending mode and I click on that, and so my shadow layer is multiply. And again, the language may be different. It may be darken or even like here, see it says darker color, lighter color. There's, overlay, all of those different things. So but I pick multiply, and multiply adds shadow to it. So if I go here, I leave it on shadow, but I'm going to take my eyedrop tool, select the area that I want to apply my shadows to. I'm in my shadow layer, and you can see it's dark. And if I went over to the background, it'll impact that as well. But again, benefits of using layers, I can just simply erase that that overreach, and I'm not affecting my final piece. So again, as we can see, the importance of creating multiple layers and just using that benefit, since you are working digitally, to your benefit and time flow. So I'm going to go back over here, and so I'm going to add my shadows. And again, like I said in the previous video, this is not about finishing the illustration really tightly, but just illustrating the shortcut benefits. So here, and this may look slightly different because I added some more leaves and stuff to the further up. Still kind of looks like a head of broccoli. So to each his own. Now, you want to, in my mind, I'm thinking, the light source is really like three-dimensional in the sense of it's coming on head on. It may be, I'm thinking, I'm going to have light source come in this direction too as well. So I should lighten this up a little bit. And that's something, you can always just work upon in your own piece. So yeah, so I'm going to do this, just add a little bit more here. There you go. And then I'm going to leave it in shadow and go on to the tree trunk. Do the same thing, highlight that, and go ahead. Now, this is working. Sometimes when you apply your shadows, let me select the sky background. Not that I think I'm going to add any shadows to it. So if you come across that and you're like, oh man, that's really too dark than what I want, just come down to your color wheel and just lighten the hue, and it won't be as dark. And you're like, you know what, that's still too dark. You can lighten it again, so that way you get your desired shade saturation that you want. And the same thing can be applied to when you are adding your highlights. If you need it lighter, you can go ahead and do that. I'll demonstrate. So I'm going to click on my highlights, and so you see I'm like, oh, that, you know, it's either too bright or too hard. It's not soft enough, or just the color scheme is off. So you can adjust it and to your liking, and you're still creating a highlight, but you're creating the highlight that you're desiring for your piece. And so I'm not saying that this can be wrong, but if you want like a hard contrast, then sure. But you can adjust the hue and the saturation of your shadows and your highlights by just simply adjusting the gradient color wheel. So let's undo those. Okay, I'm going to go back to my shadow. So I think right here, the shadow works. I like it, honestly, for the color scheme. And so I'm going to apply it all the way down there. I'm just going to go to tree trunk for a second. Color that in. Go to leaves. Erase. There we go. And then I'm back onto my shadow, and there we go. So yeah, so you can, play around with where you want to apply the shadows to your piece, and yeah, like so. And same thing again. I'm gonna highlight. I should airdrop the background. Okay, there we go. And all right, ground. Supposed to be some greenery back here. I should have done that before I started the video, but hey. So here we go. See, and the bench is on a different layer, so I can save time and just color right through. So all those are benefits. Now I'm going to come here and add. So you see, wow, that's a little darker than I want. So I will adjust it to my liking. See, I prefer that. It's a shadow, but it's still a softer shadow. And then I'm going to come here, highlight the rocks. I do like that. And here's the cool thing, right? So you have that level of shadow for your rocks. If you want to add layers or make it more dynamic with your shading, just decrease that or increase the saturation, and you can have a flowing part of your shadows where it's darker to lighter, all impacting or reflecting the intensity of the highlights. So I'm going to leave that like that. And then some colors work. So this light gray shade works with the ground. So sometimes you can keep that same hue and saturation with your shadow layer if the colors are blending well enough. And if not, then you just simply use the airdrop tool, click the color that you want, you're still in your shadow layer, and you can go, and you see that's the overlay. I don't like that, so I prefer this than that. So here we go. So now we about to wrap up. Now I'm going to do my highlights, and my highlight again, the blending mode is changed to overlay, and that gives that lighter highlight. So that's what I'm going to do here, and choose spots. And if you want, you can just dab, and that way illustrating the individual leaves that are being hit by your sun, your highlights. So here now, highlight here, that's too sharp, too hard. That's almost like a color dodge, and don't want that. I'll select the color tune, and that's not light enough. So like I said, you come to your color wheel, adjust it, and I do like that, but that's still too bright. So I like that, so I'll keep that. And so you can just play around with it, and I actually would recommend that you do so, and that way you'll see exactly what your preference is. And so I'm going to come here again, throw in some more highlights of a different color balance, and then here in the background, that's too much for the rocks. That's too much, so I'm going to select that color, and bam, I like that. That's perfect. That's the right amount of shade, and not shade, highlight that I want. And it kind of works for the background grass as well, so I'm just going to continue with that. And does it work for the bench? Yeah. And all this is increasing my workflow, and overall, your creativity, because you're just blending and seeing what works. And I do like that for the background mountains. And there you go. I'm going to leave the cloud. And even if I want to say for the cloud, I wanted to add like a real glow to that, I'll go to my highlights, and then bam. Maybe just change my brush size, and I can add those little bit of highlights even for the clouds itself. So hopefully that was helpful. I didn't want the video to be that long, so hopefully I wasn't talking too quickly. Thanks for watching the video. Be sure to like and subscribe, share the link to my YouTube channel. You can also follow me on Facebook.com/Michelot Comics. You can also go to my website, which is MichelotLully.com. And if you want to support what I do, which would be greatly appreciated, you can go to Patreon.com/MichelotLully and support at just $1 a month. So thanks again. I will do another video on using the different overlays or multiply, color dodge, stuff like that, just to show the different options you may have depending on your art software as well. So hopefully this was helpful. Any questions, concerns, suggestions, feel free to leave those in the comment section. And till next time, grace and peace.